You're listening to Dolphin Radio, for students, by students. Today, I'd like to share with you an event that went on last week called Island Fox Literary Journal Reading. It was fantastic, and what a great opportunity for writers to get their works published. Stay tuned, listen, and find out how you can get involved next year.
My name is Jose Noel Rocha.
And I'm Kimberly.
And we'd like to welcome you to the Island Fox Reading Celebration for 2018. A little fun fact about the Island Fox is that it was started in 2004 by a small group of students that felt like the English creative writing major didn't have enough representation. And that was called the Wave Literary Journal. In 2005, it became an actual class.
My fun fact is that I am now forced to take this class.
And in the spirit of having to take that class, we actually host a reading event every time that we do this, and you're always welcome to come every single year. We have a lot of great writers that work on this literary journal. It's an 18-week process in which everybody learns what it's like to actually work in a publishing company and how it is to manage that sort of situation.
What we are looking for in our writers is that they are able to express something in their writing, and so that's really what we're focusing on. We also have artists, poets, and just really great writing that we'd love to share with you guys today.
We'd also like to remind everybody that they can get a picture with Echo the Dolphin, and that you can publish us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Island Fox, don't forget about that. And without further ado, we'd like to get this thing started. We're introducing our first reader from the Island Fox, and that is
Dustin, and we also would like to remind everyone as they're coming up to make sure that they tell their page number to everyone so they can follow along.
So without further ado, enjoy Justin and his story.
All right, hello, my name is Dustin Correa, and I'd like to share an excerpt from a memoir called The Bond Between Brothers, about when I was 14 and the first time I was able to tag along with my 17-year-old brother, Jonathan. The first doobie finally reaches me, and I'm overcome with the desire to showcase my ability to hit it like a champ. An ability I had yet to perform. Page 111, sorry guys. Let me start that one over. The first doobie finally reaches me, and I'm overcome with the desire to showcase my ability to hit it like a champ. An ability I had yet to perform, let alone showcase. I hit it good and hard 2 times, and as I begin to bring the little paper wrap delicacy up to my lips for a third, I'm met with multiple voices speaking in unison, as if rehearsed, saying, "Puff, puff, give." It startles me at first, until I realize they're just informing me of proper smoking etiquette. I pass it on with haste to the person on my right, only to be met by them passing me another one right back. Every time one gets around to me, the other one shows up right after, and by the time they expire and turn to ash, I am officially baked. My brother Jonathan only hits it a couple times being the designated driver, but his glossy red eyes tell me he feels it. His friend Kevin retrieves a pack of cigarettes from his pocket and casually places one between his lips, before locking eyes with me and offering me one with a little smirk upon his face. No way. Why would I want to smoke a cigarette? It's not like they do anything to you. As soon as the words leave my mouth, I realize how juvenile and naive they are. I have no idea why people smoke cigarettes, just like I had no idea a couple hours ago why they smoke pot. And all of a sudden, I'm hit with the immeasurable weight of the long list of things I don't know, and a panic overtakes me. Hey, you know what? On second thought, let me get one of those. The words roll delicately off my tongue as if my previous response never even happened. He hands me a smoke, and I light it up. Before I know it, I'm floating above my body, contemplating the existence of angels, before sinking into the sweaty seat beneath, thinking to myself, it's hotter than the pits of hell in here. Before it suddenly hits me like a ton of bricks. I think I'm hungry. The words are low and slightly slurred, but the message is received by all, and the only question that remains is where to go. Our combined funds take us to the exquisite taste of the drive-thru at Jack in the Box. We are belligerent, talking loudly over one another as we struggle to convey to the voice inside the box that we want 12 tacos, 6 junior bacon cheeseburgers, 2 large fries, and 3 large Cokes. As we receive our total and make our way to the window, I am yet again overcome by panic and paranoia at the thought of seeing this person who just took our order. They're gonna know we're high. Pulling up, the chaos and anarchy abound. I can't bear the thought of talking to another human being outside of this car, and everyone's reaction to my fears confirm that my concerns are valid. I look to my brother and ask him, what are we going to do? As if there really is something to be done. Jonathan's the soberest one in the car by far. He looks back at me with a half-cocked smile when, in a rare stroke of sheer brilliance, his face shifts. He looks back with the most intense expression and says, play dead. Everyone goes completely limp. Silence sweeps through the car and engulfs the moment. And the only sound audible is the heavy, labored breathing of 3 grown men drunk, pretending to be asleep. Jonathan wraps up the encounter, grabs the food, and thanks the lady before skirting off into the night. We eat our food on the way home, unable to quench the laughter. We drop everyone off, and just the 2 of us remain. Neither one of us addresses it directly, but I think we both feel that something has changed. We sit there exchanging our tales of the night from one another's perspective, and it feels like we've almost become friends. Not just brothers, but actual friends. All my life I just wanted to be his equal, and for the first time I think I am.
Alrighty, great job, Dustin. Now, I love that story because I don't remember my first joint, but if my short-term memory serves me, I do remember my last joint. And after that reading, we are now going to present our next speaker, and that is Madison Root. So give her a warm welcome.
Hey everyone, my name is Madison Root, and I'm a graduating English major, and my poem is Beach at 10 p.m. It took me about a year to write this, and I wrote it initially and gathered the imagery while I was at the beach at nighttime, and I just kind of slowly developed and revised it into what it is now. So you can find my poem, it's on page 203. All right, Beach at 10 p.m. Cold rocks tumbling over each other. Down the steep shoreline, liquid obsidian tar waves gurgling, bits of trapped gold light twinkling through. Oil rig standing, gaily lit, dazzling Christmas trees. Stars drizzling down like dirty, glistening snow. Heavy pier legs trembling, swaying against melodic vibrations of the ocean current. Waves slapping erratically into its own body, calmly bubbling and fizzing into soapy white, capturing the crooked moonlight path. Indigo night air seeping in, hands hot, folding into shallow jacket pockets. Wind glacial against tip of the nose, kicking damp, cool sand into shoes, catching between thin socks and toes, grainy, musky, earthy seaweed smell, residual in the lungs. Crescent moon hanging on, wispy fog, diluting, canary yellow, shimmering, hiding in pier lamps, all 25 of them, I counted. Thank you.
All right, so next guest we're going to have up is going to be Abby Ramsey. Yeah, there we go. Hi, everybody. My name is Abigail Ramsey, as everyone just heard. There's 2 pieces of mine in the Island Fox. There's Rough and a Girl, Her Bike, and a Black Eye. I'm going to be reading the first page and a half of A Girl, Her Bike, and a Black Eye, which is on page 19. This is it. I'm blind, I said, as I pushed my blue and orange bike off my legs and stood up from the scratchy cement. My brain was a jumble as I tried to recount what happened just moments before. Panic surged through my body as my tire got stuck underneath a flap in the ramp. My bike came to a complete stop, but my body kept moving straight till my right eye collided with the handlebar. On the ground, my right eye shut and my hands desperately trying to keep it covered, a jumble of blue, orange, and red spots clouded my vision. The pain was what I imagined a watermelon felt like when it exploded. My hand went to test my nose to see if there was any regrettable damage there.
I winced as my fingers traced the bridge. Great. I broke my nose too. I hated my nose, and now it was going to be even more deformed than before. My neighbor, Reef, yes, that's his name, his sister name is Coral, ran towards me half laughing, half asking if I was okay. I looked at him with my right hand cupped over my right eye, and I pushed my left hand out with a thumb up. That was totally awesome. I thought like you were actually going to make it this time. Where did your bike even get stuck? He was bouncing on the balls of his feet. We lived for this kind of excitement. I grunted and walked over to the ramp, my hand still in place over my eye. I would never say it, but I was scared to move it because my eye might have just fallen out of its socket. We should probably stop putting off fixing that now, I said, with my finger pointing toward the trouble spot. It was maybe the size of my palm. It flipped up just enough that my bike's front tire got caught in the lip. I was definitely blind. No arguing that. Reef brought ice for my eye, or whatever was left of it. We plopped our bodies down in the hot cement and continued to laugh about my disaster. My mind immediately jumped to my parents. They were gone for the day at some church event I did not want to go to. The functions usually consisted of old people, crappy food, with one or two gray-haired women asking through half-chewed food mush in their mouths, "Are you going to come to the women's tea soon?" Or stating, "You really should learn to be a lady so you can make a good wife in the future." No thanks. It was sunny outside with too many possibilities to get muddy and have adventures. Tea, crumpets, and learning to be ladylike were not on my mind. I'm 10 years old for Pete's sake. Let a girl live a little. Thank you.
Another great reading, everybody. I hope you're having a good time. The next reading that we have for you is a series of poems, and that is by Ethan Powers.
Hello. My first poem is on 199. It's titled Elder. Tiny cream flowers, clusters bouncing in my face, a fool in a tree. My next one is on the following page, 201. It's titled Dawn. Early morning brings cool breezes, butterflies, and unfurling flowers.
We'd like to remind everybody that today we actually have a lot of literary journals in the back table. Feel free to go and pick one up. They are free. I actually designed the cover of that literary journal, and when we were talking about that, we wanted to see sort of like what our theme was, and the idea really came that we wanted to talk about the diverse voices in Channel Islands. We feature a large range of different people across various majors who have written and created some wonderful pieces, so we really hope that you enjoy them and that you really take them all in. So grab a copy for yourself and feel free to spread it around, share it with your friends.
And our next reader is going to be Michael.
Hello everyone, my name is Michael Haas. My story is entitled Kamaru. I wrote it as a hope of redefining the conventional idea of nationality. So, I'll begin. Page 47. I'm just going to read the first page, not very long. Middle school, a term most often bringing to mind unpleasant memories of adolescence. For many, it is the intermediate point in a person's education. For all, it is a transitioning point, a time between childhood and maturity, a period of conflicting thoughts, feelings, and transformations, an age of hormonal fluctuation and indecision, where one's feelings of control seems to be irremediably slipping away, an age when attendance didn't just mean being present, but also being intact. It was just past midday, and students were beginning to fill the classrooms. Teachers were fuddling with papers on the desks, while the murmur of chattering students gradually swelled, chins flapping and mouths yapping inaudibly and unintelligibly, just for chattering's sake, just to ease the latent tension hovering about the room. The bell rang and roll call began. Students rose one by one, calling eagerly to confirm their attendance, but while their voices seemed firm and confident, they concealed falsehood, for these students attended merely in a physical sense, while their minds drifted far away. Kumaro was not sitting in a steamy classroom in Southern California, but standing in a clearing surrounded by cherry blossoms, a red pagoda shining in the distance, with a snow-capped mountain far in the background, veiled by a cloud of cool vapor. Kumaro was not alone, for directly opposite him stood his mortal enemy, a villain poised and bedecked in steel armor. It was night, and the light of the moon flickered between the clouds, shimmering upon the armor's metal. Kumaro's rival met him with a ferocious glare. Yosh, Hotoda. They unsheathed their swords and prepared to chase away the hours in battle. Their weapons sliced apart mundane reality and tore into the shell of physical existence. The bell rang once more, and the classroom transmutated into an outward flowing body of bobbing heads. But while Kumaro was caught up in the surging flow, his imagination persisted, and he was alone in his world. It diverged, and no sooner was he outside than he was sweeping across roofs, stealthily dashing across bamboo tiling, his Totoro backpack jostling quietly behind him. He was a ninja, the discreet assassin, navigating the shadowy corners of his creative mind. The time was favorable, and the mission had Kumaro too withdrawn in solemn thought to notice the derisive looks and gestures made towards him. Kamaitachi, keshite iramana yo. Kumaro stirred up a whirlwind of sand in his wake as he sprinted across the patio. A trail of sedimentary particles floated between him and the rest of the world. They glided in the wind, hovering languidly, minute and isolated, like heavenly bodies spinning together in a nebulous galaxy. They sparkled in the sunlight like twinkling stars. Kumaro jumped with agility down a pair of steps, brushing past the palm tree Torrentori, and passing through the sliding doors, descending deeper into the labyrinth of his imagination. He suddenly cut a strange figure in the eyes of others, dressed as he was in his Tokyo Ghoul hoodie, his backpack heavily adorned with pins depicting various creatures from Pokemon, and an authentic Meadow Leaf Village headband wrapped around his forehead, his hair jutting out flaxen and disheveled as a haystack. But whatever others may have thought, Kumaro took little notice. He lived in a daydream world apart from them, though sheltered only by a barrier as thin as silk. Inonaka no kaeru taikai wo shirazu. That's it.
So there's a sample of some of the diverse voices that we have. We got a lot of different languages that are featured in the Island Fox. Actually, it's not just English. As you have heard, we have various different languages. And so it's really a great read. So I would recommend paging through it. And now I actually have the honor of presenting another one of our great English majors, and that is Nick Rada.
Hello. I have two pieces in the journal. One is a poem titled Novato, and the other is a short story titled We've Never Met Before, but Can We Get a Cup of Coffee or something? And I will be reading the short story, which is on page 153, and I will be starting on page 158 toward the top. I'm not gay, Mark retorted. Never said you were, Clarice replied. I've dated girls before. I've had a girlfriend. Me too, she chuckled. It fizzled out when she saw the contorted candor Mark possessed. Whoa, that's a button. She put her drink down. Why'd you bring me here if you thought I was gay? Why would you ask me out if you didn't want to go out on a date? She forced down her smile when she saw the lack of marks. Okay, Clarice, calm down with the jokes, she muttered to the side before taking a breath. Look, I noticed you at the bar, and you were evidently having a poor time with your friends. I thought you could use an out. I was planning on approaching you know. Mark maintained a somber stoicism. Hey, I'm sorry. Clarice leaned across the table slightly. What was bothering you with your friends at the bar, she asked. Mark shook off his grimace. It's nothing. I don't want to talk about it. He met Clarice's eyes. I'm sorry for getting defensive. You're okay, she said, her smile returning with a softness. You know, you're pretty strange. Mark recoiled. I mean that in a good way, Clarice qualified, and his expression softened. Me? You're the one dressed for a warm night in LA when it's raining in Seattle on a Thursday afternoon, he offered. On Thanksgiving, she added. On Thanksgiving, he laughed. Hey, there's something new. Clarice took a sip from her coffee. In retaliation, Mark attempted to suppress his smile, which in turn only cultivated it. He looked down to his cup, which now felt cool enough to drink. He did. He left again, throwing Clarice a glance before once more scoping out the shop scene. "Why aren't you out with your family right now?" she asked. "I could ask you the same thing." "Fair." She sat back into her seat, drink in hand, mulling over a response. "They're not my favorite group of people," she settled on. "That is a mutual sentiment." Mark raised his drink. "Excuse me, I don't believe you've ever met my family." She panned with a straight face before taking another sip. "What? Oh, funny. That is a sentiment that I also share about my family." He shook a grin at her. Her lips moved to a smile, though they did not achieve their goal. "They don't approve of my lifestyle choices or my personality choices." She looked out through the glass of the doors. "They've always made me feel weird for being weird. Thanksgiving is the kind of thing you should spend with people who don't do that to you, you know? Like a stranger at some divey niche bar?" "Exactly." Clarice raised her drink. "Like a stranger at some divey niche bar." She laughed.
Sadly, I don't drink coffee, but if you ever want to take me out. Our next reader today is going to be Becca, who's also in one of our classes as well.
Make this shorter? Just kidding, this is fine. Yeah. My name's Becca, and I'm an English major, graduating. Yeah, there we go. All right. So my name's Becca, English major, graduating. I'll be reading a story of mine on 139, literally titled Some Random Number That I Gave It. So, 4 p.m., New Jersey. The loud bang of the gun still rang out in my ears. Dahlia had dropped to the floor, blood oozing onto the ground. She laid there, a hand over the wound on the left side of her abdomen, and I quickly prayed that the bullet was not the organ-destroying kind. With the blood beginning to seep out of her, I couldn't even think about it. This was the first time I'd ever seen her look weak, and it scared me. Completely and utterly scared me. I thought we had the situation under control, but the alarms were blaring, and there was no way we were the ones in control. Just moments ago, Dahlia was in charge. She had waved her gun around, yelling in a voice that made people afraid. The tellers were so terrified, they tossed the money into our bags as if they were bombs they couldn't hold on to any longer. We were their queens, and they were our servants, just feeding into this power trip. Then the gunshot rang off, and Dahlia fell to the floor with a loud grunt. Her eyes darted to Dahlia. My eyes darted to Dahlia, and back to the gun. I struggled between stopping her pain and standing our ground. We didn't have any control anymore. We weren't powerful. That gun was. A different woman held that key, a tiny pistol in her hands, and a deranged look in her eyes, and I stood frozen. Thank you.
Now, my name is Jose, so I did stand frozen for 20 minutes before Coco was playing in the movie theater. Beyond that, there are many various things. I'd like to thank Becca. The truth of the matter is that the books that you're holding in your hand are a large product of Becca's hard work. She had to deal with U-Build quite a bit, and she is somebody to thank for that. So she did a great job. Our next reader, well, give her a hand. There we go. Awesome. And now give a hand for our next reader, and that is Adam Gilson with his story, Risotto.
Hello. My name is Adam Gilson. I want to thank the Island Fox staff for putting this together and also for inviting me to read today. My story, Risotto, is on page 67. News to me. I was 5 minutes from starting a batch of risotto for 10 people when my wife, Emma, called me into the kitchen to quietly tell me she was pregnant. Every part of my body experienced a different emotion. Elation was on my face, while my knees tried their best not to buckle, and my heart fought itself like a caged dog. Movies and television shows give us a template for how we must react to these situations. Wonderful, tearful hugging with whispers of, I'm going to be a mommy, I'm going to be a daddy, we're going to be a family. But we were at this dinner party surrounded by her parents and some of our closest friends, and I was about to make risotto for 10 people, and we didn't even know how far along she was. Emma learned in her 5 hours of pregnancy but social convention dictates we keep this to ourselves till she is at least 3 months pregnant. I found out later that 15 to 20% of known pregnancies in the United States end in miscarriage, the majority of which occur in the first 20 weeks. She is most likely only 4 to 6 weeks along. So we decide on this night of food and family and friends to keep it to ourselves, to spare others and each other. We hug hard. I whisper that I love her. There are no tears from either one of us. Just that feeling when you step into the wrong classroom, look up, and realize your mistake. You try to leave, but someone already shut the door, so you just sit through the class. As the sounds of a happy house moved towards the kitchen, we disengaged, and I started the heavy cast iron skillet with 6 tablespoons of butter just beginning to melt. Risotto, Emma, and the tenuous abstract speck of human floating around in her are my world now. The butter is sizzling. Time to start cooking. Risotto, prep. Risotto is a creamy dish whose rich, earthy flavors emerge from the dusky, rolling hills of northern Italian cuisines. There are 2 kinds. The shortcut boxed root a la rice-a-roni that isn't actually risotto, and the homemade real stuff. The ingredients are simple. Rice, butter, a diced onion, a splash of white wine, and broth, most likely chicken. The butter and diced onion is the base layer for flavoring. The key here is the rice. You must use medium grain rice that is high in starch and low in amylose. The creaminess of risotto is derived from the level of starch in the rice. The higher, the better. Amylose is a binding polymer in plants that helps retain starch. A high starch, low amylose combination allows the rice to release as much starch as possible, resulting in a creamier, smoother risotto. But it takes patience. This is why boxed risotto is a risotto. Boxed risotto is made in under 15 minutes because the creaminess and texture isn't derived from the starch in the rice. It comes from dehydrolyzed cream included in the spice packet. It is a lie. Preparation, I've learned, is vital to making proper risotto. Everything must be chopped, diced, sliced, sorted, and heated before you begin to melt the butter. For serving 10 people, I have 1.5 medium white onions finely chopped. Some recipes call for the onion to be chopped to the length of a grain of rice you're using. I'm not quite there yet. I have 2.5 pounds of cremini mushrooms, the brown ones, already sauteed and sitting in a colander. The collected mushroom juice is added already to the 10 cups of chicken stock, heated to a near boil in a saucepan next to the heavy cast iron skillet. 3 cups of carnaroli rice sit in a metal bowl nearby. The butter sizzles and my mind sizzles, and Emma has gone to sit with the friends and family as they pick over the opening salvo of food. A micro salad with a dill vinaigrette Emma made from our garden, garlic grilled colossal shrimp, and artichokes fresh from Emma's folks' garden. Time to add the onions before the butter reaches 212, when it will brown and become unusable. Dad-to-be. Emma and I played it cool the rest of the evening. I knew that I was overacting, like a terrible romantic comedy movie driving the point home. Laughing just a little too hard at the funny stuff, groaning a little too long at the sympathetic stuff, being too quick to fill in the silences. We get home, and I was pretty buzzed. Cooking and drinking go hand in glass for me. She shows me the pregnancy test she took, that she bought from the 99-cent store, that was put together incorrectly, with an extra set of arrows facing the wrong way. I begin to doubt the results. Thank you.
That made me hungry. So we also want to mention that today we do have quite a lot of people here with us. Adam Gilton is actually one of our alumni from our campus, and we also even have faculty reading today.
And one of those faculty members is our very own Bob Mayberry.
Too cold out here to imagine playing baseball, but this poem is about baseball. From roughly 1900 to 1947, Major League Baseball systematically excluded African Americans from playing ball at the Major League level. Then Jackie Robinson was signed in the National League and Larry Doby in the American League. During those years, in the first half of the 20th century, American Negroes formed their own baseball leagues called the Negro Baseball Leagues. And this poem celebrates some of the heroes of those leagues. The title is Foul, F-O-U-L, like a baseball. And there's a couple of terms I want to tell you about. One is, there's a famous pitch you occasionally see in baseball. It looks like a mistake, goes about 20 feet in the air, comes straight down. It's called an ephus pitch, named after the man who mistakenly invented it. And there are nicknames for fans, before fan actually became a word in the English language. by which we refer to the people in attendance at baseball games in the early 20th century, and they were cranks and bugs. Foul. I saw this is on 211, and I'm editing as I go. I saw the best players of my generation snubbed by baseball, denied, invisible, ignored, dragging themselves from sandlot to sandlot, looking for a game, any game. Five-tool players burning for some kind of connection to the national media machinery of sports. Gifted players who, drinking and womanizing and playing high, still smoked the ball over dirt fields beneath darkening skies and ran like Olympians round white bases, who hurled fastballs, slow balls, knucklers, curves, palm balls, change-ups, screwballs, slurves, spitters, and gyros, and, wait for it, an ephus pitch, too, swinging black Betsy's and playing black ball until the sun set behind bleachers of frenzied folks, cheering their heroes to second and third, but never home. Who played the national game with verve, with zing, with spirit and flair, jazzing it up or cooling it down, playing for pennies on the poor side of town, with cool Papa Bell taunting on first, and Big Train Parker staring him down, Carlos Moran with his magical glove, and Fleet Walker dancing the base paths of black blur 60 years before Jackie, who broke the bank and shattered the mold and opened the floodgates for all the Kurts and Willies and Henrys that followed, and lonely Larry Doby, first in the American League, but last in American memories, like so many, forgotten if ever known. For who among us remembers the chocolate-sweet swing of Walter Buck Leonard, the sudden swift strikes of Bullet Joe Rogan, or hide-thumping whap of Mr. Joshua Gibson, smashing the ball to the walls of his own Jericho? Oh my! Oh boy! Oh shit! Long gone. Oh, those night-colored players, dazzling sunlit crowds who slept floor to the floor in flea-bit back rooms and took their dinner from alley ash cans, who bummed rides from town to town, enduring insults and threats before every match, who dared not sip from the white boys' fountain, though they shared a field and a ball and a game, who ranted in the back alleys of Pittsburgh and roared in the summer dusk of Brooklyn, whose uniforms proudly proclaimed the Grays, the Homesteaders, the Monarchs and Daisies, Black Barons and Buckeyes, the Eagles and Crawfords, while in New York and Chicago and Newark, they were simply called the Giants, and giants they were all, recreating the syntax of good old American ball, standing before us day after day, night after night, with nothing more than a stick of wood and a sphere of horsehide, naked in their fear, resplendent in their talents. They play, and they play, and they play, as if there were no tomorrow, no yesterday, no growing up, no growing old, no greener pastures to be let out into, no world but this world, this sandlot, this field, a tiny patch of green grass in the heart of a stone city, and dirt baselines demarking fair from foul, safe from out, where the dark boys of summer stand waiting, hoping, dreaming, and knowing that out of their bodies comes the sport of millions. Out of their bodies, the runs and outs, ice cream cone catches and beanball bruises, every opening pitch, every final out, and underscoring their performance, like some barbaric Ginsbergian yap, they hear the crowd the fans, the bugs, the cranks, who lift the long, lonely lyric lament of their foul. Thank you.
And our next reader is going to be Damien.
Hello, everyone. My name is Damien Sapien, and that's not really a slant rhyme, but we'll take it. I went ahead and wrote a short story called Translation on page 81, and I'm going to be reading an excerpt on page 83. And I wrote this story about language barrier because I had a realization one of these days that there are a lot of people in this world that I will never be able to truly understand because I don't speak their language, and that I won't be able to see their emotions or hear their voices or their ideas. And so I tried to write a story with multiple perspectives in a sci-fi setting to kind of spice things up. And so I'm going to be reading from one of those perspectives right now. The humans confidently walked in and sat down. Puddle had been dreading this moment. She knew everything was up to her. She was the only one in all the Angstras that could use her reactor core within the iron layer of her biology. Puddle knew she needed to make the first move and tell all the species why they were here. She knew the importance of being the voice for her whole planet. She stood and exploded with her tiny voice. We are here today to resolve the conflict between the Wan and the humans. She paused as the reactor part of her biology started to hurt, then continued through the pain. It seemed that by oversettling, the humans have destroyed an important property of the Wan. Justice needs to be had, so it is up to all races to find it. Exhausted, Puddle finally sat. Feeling confident that she spoke proudly and set off the meeting to a good start. That was, until she felt the speaker of the humans shift to face towards her, without throwing any sound waves at her body for her to try to understand. The lack of waves being sent her direction reminded her of the silence she had been in all of her life. She was small and misshapen. She had been since birth, which led to her exile. The humans reminded her of a time where she felt an imposing lack of tremor waves being sent in her direction, even by her unit. In exile, she made sound waves with her misshapen iron organ that created micro-explosions of sound. Even if it would destroy her, she needed to feel communication waves from someone, even herself. It was this curse, this gift, that allowed her people to communicate with the humans. It was too late. They didn't understand. All of Puddle's confidence was shaken. Silence had been given to her. She failed. Her shape was just a curse.
I really like that one because my shape is also a curse. I am wearing dress shoes and I'm still 5'7". And now to introduce the next author, it's Marina Flores.
My name is Marina Flores, and I'm a recent graduate from CSUCI. My poem is on page 183, and this is my personal experience with the Thomas Fire. It wasn't that the air was thick or how I could feel it filling my lungs. It was a smell. Then the light in the middle of the night, it was bright, and I looked to my mountains so bright, full of flame, and it was beautiful. Why did it have to be beautiful? This terror, scorched earth, ash raining from the sky like snowflakes. I could feel the poison in my lungs, my throat raw, my hands full of tiny cuts, my abuelita crying, the flames licking the sky. And it was beautiful. The next person we have coming up is going to be Lynn. She does not have a writing piece. She's actually one of our artists, so she's going to come up and talk about her piece, and she'll tell you what page it's on.
Hi, my name is Lynn Holmes, and I'm a relatively new student here. I started this semester after transferring in from Ventura, Moorpark, and Oxnard colleges. I got 6 degrees between the 3 schools, but nothing with English. I'm a studio art major here, and I did a photo. And I was really honored, basically, that it got put into the book because I knew nothing at all about the Island Fox. So when they said that my photo was in there, I was really excited. And especially because those are my pets. The bird is Allie. Oh, I'm sorry, 110. The bird is Allie, and the cat is Nefertiti. And Nefertiti was a rescue, and from the minute she came in the house, they became best friends. And they would sleep on the back of the sofa with Neffy's head at Allie's feet. And this particular time, I saw Allie climbing up the cat tree, and Neffy was sleeping, so I was really nervous. But she just went and gave Neffy a little bitty kiss to wake her up, and I happened to get the picture. So it proves that even though they're enemies in nature, they can be best friends in life. So thank you very much, and thank you for letting me have my picture in there.
Awesome. And so I'd actually like to give another shout out for one of the many diverse voices of the Island Fox, and that's actually to our art director, Corrine Brown. And it's thanks to her that we have all of this artwork kind of organized throughout the literary journal, and she's actually providing you guys with the set list for tonight, so she's done a really great job for us.
The other art director is also Jose. So.
And so, as we continue on, we hope that we enjoy all of the diverse voices from art to various different literary works. And we are now introducing
Emma
Thompson.
Emma Thompson, and I'm an English major with a creative writing emphasis. I'm going to be reading from my short story, How to Conquer a Beast, on page 133, just the very beginning of it, if I could find it too. And it's about this past summer, which was like one of the darkest and most horrible times of my life. Inside me claws a terrible beast with long, sharp fangs and equally terrifying talons. It's been slowly growing over the course of my life, but its dark color developed the day my parents divorced, when I started to worry about the future and how it might change. I felt its strength and power in the small black germ, but knew even then how to contain it. I let it settle deep inside me, and for years, it stayed that way, always in the pit of my stomach, even as my knees grew painful and my limbs gangly. Soon I sprouted into an awkward adolescent, and this beast became a part of me. After years of only allowing it out behind closed doors, of burying it so deep as to keep it out of my relationships, I was tired. It had grown to match my size, threatening to even outgrow me. It found its way out of my cracks, oozing into every inch of my life that I tried to keep it from. The beast kept me from finding the joy I didn't know I deserved in friends, family, even a boy I loved more than I loved myself. It was particularly fond of this area of my life, of the healthy and strong partnership I had nurtured in its shadow. What started out as a simple and pure love slowly became infected by the sour insecurities implanted by the beast. Even through this, I kept it at bay, determined to hold onto the one thing that kept me tethered to the ground. Angry at being locked away, of only ever pushing past the gates in small bursts, the beast ravaged me with a new strength in the weeks before I started college. The night I slept in my new bed for the first time, I was so drenched in darkness I didn't see the sun for months. I had always known the beast was there, a vague mist hanging around me in the periphery, but now it was starting to take a real shape. It no longer lived in my stomach. Instead, it nuzzled into the sticky tissue of my heart, deep within the arteries that pumped fear-tainted blood through my muscles and bones. And that was even before the day of its escape. The summer I turned 19, my already weakened heart was ripped out of its cavity. I caught a close look at the beast that day in the car after the conversation was over, after the relationship was over, after he walked away and out of my life. The sickly cream color of my hands blurred into the blackness of the steering wheel. My raw demons uncorked themselves from inside and looked me dead in the face. I sat for minutes that felt like hours, staring at this ugly piece of me, this roaring pit of darkness that had developed from a small seed to the monster that now sat on my chest. Somehow I made it out of the car and into my bed that night, where I didn't move for days. My mother brought food I didn't dare eat, things I didn't dare distract myself with. I laid with my soul in my throat and my insides completely hollow, unable to escape the beast's prison. Thanks, guys.
Awesome. We'd like to thank Emma for sharing that with us, and I'd also like to point out the fact that she's wearing very amazing shoes. Along with that fun fact, my Instagram name is Mr. Fancy Shoes, so everybody say cheese. Thanks for not smiling, everybody. My mom's going to think that that's really lame. And now we'll introduce our next reader, Derek Kassar.
Hi, my name's Derek. I wrote a short story. It's on page 41. I'm going to read a little bit of it, probably like a page and a half. It's inspired by 5 Salvador Dali paintings. So here we go. When you go to bed at night, what is the last thing you think of? Do you ponder your wishes and your worries, or do you simply try to free your mind of all that is good and all that is bad before falling into your nightly slumber? There was once a boy who wished, who hoped, and who prayed that one day he would be able to see his mother again. He worshipped her like a goddess. She was his light and the one and only person that encouraged the boy to always keep his imagination alive. Every night before bed, the boy would meditate. With every muscle and vertebrae in his whole body, he sits tall, stiff, and still, just like a tree. He starts by counting his breath and clearing his conscience. Breathing in through his nose and breathing out through his mouth, he starts to peel away at the roots of his mind, his body, and his soul. The boy starts by imagining that all of the skin on his body is removed. Then he goes on by stripping off all of his muscles piece by piece, like you would do with the outer layer of an orange. Next, he pictures all of his inner organs falling out, one at a time. All that remains is his bruised and battered heart, his bony skeleton, and his thick, colorful, geniusly psychotic, and extremely eccentric brain. Once he reaches this point, he will officially start to enter the gateway of his own mind. A skinny little man with crooked teeth and an awkward smile pops out of the boy's heart. With his long, bony fingers and toes, he starts to climb up and up and up, each vertebrae of the boy's spine. As he reaches the brainstem, the man slaps it hard. A bolt of purple lightning strikes out, sucking the man into a black hole. Vortexing down, the man passes images, thoughts, and emotion at speed, and when he reaches the bottom, he finally and slowly passes all of his morals, reasoning, and judgment before officially entering the lands of his own mind. The boy navigates as his own soul, a soul stuck in a labyrinth of memories, in a place where time and reality doesn't exist. The boy finds himself crisscrossed in the middle of a hot, desolate desert. Tan, sandy grounds covered by a big, blue, cloudy sky surround him. The boy is lost and perplexed with fuzziness. As he rubs his eyes, his blurry vision becomes clear. In the distance lies a massive stone wall. With a smooth face and jagged rocky sides, it stands well over 200 feet tall. The boy walks up to the wall enamored, and a carving is placed at the top right corner reading, "Welcome to the kingdom of butterflies." He notices 2 butterflies dive down towards him, but doesn't care. His mission is to find his mother, not to make friends. His long, thin legs stride forward as the butterflies fly to both of his sides. Excuse me, boy. Do you not leave yet? We are Guards of the kingdom, hissed the two in unison. I'm looking for my mother. She is my light, and without her, I feel lost and black with depression. I need to find her. My heart aches with pain and longing just for the sight of her. Do you know her? He smiles as the butterflies look at each other and start to twitch with joy. We have been expecting you. The blue butterfly grimly giggles. It pulls a small crusty scroll out of his pocket and hands it to the boy. The journey is long, but if you believe, then you will find her. She lives where the land, the ocean, and the heavens meet. Thank you.
Finals week, right? It's also a time when there's no reality or time. Our next is going to be Chelsea coming up and reading her story. Poem.
Hi, I'm Chelsea, and my poem is on page 185. It's called The Day After Valentine's Day 2018, and I wrote it about the events that occurred on Valentine's Day this year. Our elected officials are good-hearted evangelicals. They silently speak their thoughts and prayers while children continue to perish, and bystanders wait to see which children return home to their parents. The right side screams out, people can still commit carnage with knives. And besides, gun control laws will target a white male demographic. The Second Amendment is unmovable, like 8 a.m. 405 freeway traffic. We all wait, watching the news, buzzing from all forms of media. Hitting hard with a weight of a freight train, we strain our ears, hoping for a better excuse. But then Facebook friends cry out, mental health issues. By the end of the week, celebrity gossip continues. So don't present your position. Instead, send your prayers up high, or you'll offend your family members on the right side of the thick, polarized political line. They will tell you, people kill people. Guns aren't the problem. Don't you know that heartbreak doesn't constitute political change? Go to a gun range. It's fun, you'll see. 13, 28, 49, 58, 17, but please, by all means, elected officials, send out your thoughts and prayers and keep your bleeding red state, white male approval rate consistent with the NRA.
And there you had an exceptionally powerful poem by Chelsea. I'd like to give another shout out for tonight, which is one to Sarah Kraszewski for being one of our managing directors. This couldn't have been done without her. And now likewise, I'd like to introduce another one of our managing directors. This could not have been done without her either, and that is Hayley Siobhan.
Hi, I'm Hayley. My story is called Emily, and it's on page 165. That's the part I'm reading from, at least. Emily sat on a stone wall in the garden, the same place where Bailey had licked the flowers. Her mother loved to garden, and their yard, large and unevenly grounded, was a sea of rose bushes, of daisies, of carnations and baby's breath. Jasmine vines crawled up the fence and over to the neighbor's yard. Lemon and pear trees stood proudly towards the back, and there were vegetables too. Tomatoes green on the vine were plump as a gluttonous tick. Carrot tops groped for the sky with saturated green limbs, their young roots retreated into the soil. Emily wished she could return to the earth in that way. She examined the plants and tried not to think about Alicia and the white girl, about the bare skin of their bellies, raw honey and milk, lingering together. Even as she tried, she couldn't stop imagining it. She saw Bailey, too. Her mind replayed the way the other girl's mouth had parted to suckle the pink flower. She shook her head to dispel the image and walked to the dirt, where small leaves sprouted. She wondered what vegetables they would be. Beets, maybe. She kneeled beside them in the dirt and pulled her skirt up to her underwear. Her skin was the color of the nourished soil. I could grow a garden in me, she thought. She imagined bean sprouts budding across her thighs, her freshly shaven legs. Alicia had taught her how to shave only a few weeks earlier, and Emily missed her soft hairs. Why do I have to do this? She asked as they sat on the edge of the bathtub, the warm water falling slowly from the faucet. The steam made the hair on both their heads expand as though it were static. Alicia handed her a pink razor, showed her how to lather the soap into a white film over her legs, because it's what we've been taught to do. Now, run the blade lightly over your skin like this. The razor left a streak on Alicia's fair skin like a cleared road after snowfall. Emily copied her, but pressed too roughly. Blood collected in dewdrops, and she chirped in protest. I don't want to shave. It made me bleed. Women are supposed to bleed, Alicia said. Do your whole leg and knee, skip your thighs. Why? Because you're too young to have sex. Emily had blushed and looked at her dark legs in the water. She finished shaving and watched the blood bloom out of her body in slow circles and into the soapy water.
I felt my feet shaving this morning too, so. So our last speaker of the night is actually going to be somebody you've seen a lot tonight. It's also our another MC, Jose. I do want to take a moment to also say that he, as one of the art directors as well, put a lot of art. He did the cover for us. He did the back page that was supposed to be the back cover, and helped us along with everything else that we did today. And before everything else, he always wanted to volunteer to do anything. And so our last speaker, give it up for Jose.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Kimberly. I really appreciate that. This class has really been a wonderful experience, and none of it really would have been possible without the help of our professor and faculty advisor, Joan Peters. So if we could give her a hand. And that back page actually says at the bottom, for the many voices of CI. And that to me was a really big deal when I was making this cover. I saw that all the covers for the Island Fox were actually just a fox, and I wanted it to represent our school, so I put the library and the fox fountain that's right over there in this cover. And so really this is all for you guys. I do love being an English major. It's one of my favorite things to be, and being a part of the Island Fox with all the great people that I've been with has been just a great experience. That being said, if you could scoot back a few pages to 219, it's the last piece in the literary journal. I will start my poem, which is not about liking class. So this poem is called First of All. Because first of all, man, fuck my education. Fuck the fucked up, trumped up, terrible situation. I think a conversation can balance the equation of the beef between colors, but my mother of Spanish descent had the talk with me. She said, son, your actions and your colors should not compete with one another, but often they do. You look like your dad, so I'll tell you the truth. When you get to the man, you'll hear what Ruth told, hey Arnold, I like you, but I don't like you. So today, I try to pencil in these haikus with lightning bolts like Raichu, and I don't do it just to spite you, but you gonna look me in my eye too when I'm standing right beside you, short as I may be. And sure, I might look like your cleaning lady, but my breathing lately is shaky. I'm shaking, it's aggravating. The way they play me, they don't want to pay me, and picture us as the people they're portraying. You know, I used to watch Little Bill. I used to catch a little thrill with Will, and I heard Martin Luther on Capitol Hill. I wondered too why Brown wasn't on the social color wheel. I don't mean to steal figures from black history, but my brown representation is a mystery, so I slave away at these soliloquies, wondering when they'll witness me, wondering when I can speak vividly to the Latin blood that lives in me, wishing it'll be equal like its symmetry, wishing it won't be an epiphany, knowing that I simply live and breathe. I do believe that one day they'll see a man who put love in his dreams, a man who's not just a being, whose heart is a heart, who says, let freedom ring. I'm sick of Dora the Exploradora. I want Dora the Emperadora. Where's my Aztec empress? Where's my Latin excellence? Where's my Latin president? Where's my legal Latin resident who languishes largely because he's starving to feel evident? No accented speech impediment on me as I love the lavish lashes on my Latin queen with decadence as I reach out to my black and yellow and red and fuck it, white friends' hands again. I want peace. Peace for the streets, peace for my soul, peace for a place where my kids can grow old, peace to release a story that deserves to be told. I know it sounds bold, but it's called When You Don't Have Heroes to Look Up To. I live to give America a Latin history they can love too. Thank you for coming.
So that does end our night. We do want to say thank you guys for coming out, and we would love for you guys to submit anything to the Island Fox next year, including art, poetry, plays, any piece of writing, nonfiction. We take nonfiction as well, memoirs. We did have a memoir read earlier today, so please just submit to us, talk to us. Don't forget to grab a book.
Good night, everybody.
You've been listening to Dolphin Radio, for students by students. I hope you'll take some time and find out a little bit more about the Island Fox Literary Journal. Do your part and make this a great day.